From the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. This Monday, District Judge Vanessa Breitzer ruled that Julian Assange is not to be extradited to the U.S. to face charges of espionage and of hacking government computers. An appeal is expected to be mounted against the ruling, which comes after weeks of hearings at the Old Bailey last year and campaigning by Assange supporters and others who have decried U.S. charges against him as an attack of press freedom. The case against the 49-year-old relates to WikiLeaks' publication of hundreds of thousands of leaked documents about the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, as well as diplomatic cables in 2010 and 2011. Assange's lawyers argue that prosecution is politically motivated and that he's being pursued because WikiLeaks published U.S. government documents that revealed evidence of war crimes and human rights abuses. Thousands of Iraqi mourners have condemned the American occupiers 1 year after the U.S. drone strike killed Iran's rendered commander Qasem Soleimani and his Iraqi lieutenant Ado Mahdi al-Muhandis. Thousands of blood-clad mourners Saturday night converged at the spot near Baghdad's international airport, where the U.S. hit the two vehicles and killed Soleimani, Muhandis, and 8 other men. The anniversary of their deaths in Baghdad, which brought the United States and Iran to the brink of war, was also marked in Iran and by supporters in Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and elsewhere. And Israel plans to vaccinate 2 million people by the end of January. Starting on December 19, when Prime Minister Netanyahu got his first jab, Israel launched an aggressive push to administer the vaccine made in the U.S.-German pharma alliance Pfizer-BioNTech. The vaccine must be given in 2 separate jabs, administered 3 weeks apart. The health minister said that around a fifth of Israel people, starting with health workers and those over 60, will have had both shots by the end of January. As of Friday, 1 million people had received their first injection. Flights at Yemen's Aden airport have resumed 3 days after at least 26 people, including 3 members of the International Committee of the Red Cross, were killed and scores were wounded when explosions rocked the airport as ministers of the Saudi-backed government disembarked from aircraft. All cabinet members were reported to be unharmed in what some ministers claim was an attack by the Houthi fighters who control the capital Sana'a and are based in northern Yemen. The Saudi-backed government and southern separatists formed a power-sharing cabinet on the 18th of December, forging a joint front against the Houthi fighters.
It is an indescribable feeling when we heard that the Minister of Transport declared that flights will be resumed in Aden Airport. We thought that the flights will be redirected to Siam Airport, which is very far and takes 12 to 14 hours on the road traveling. But when flights resumed again in Aden Airport, we praise God for this.
Thank God, the airport has reopened and flights have resumed. Thank God. They tried to kill Aden, but they forgot Aden could get sick, but could never die.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brownie is assuring that the country will not ban travel to or from Barbados, which is currently struggling with a surge in COVID-19 cases. Brownie sent a letter to Prime Minister Mia Mottley on Sunday advising of his plan to maintain current arrangements. Barbados has 395 positive cases of the novel coronavirus, 161 of which were recorded from a super spread event. On December 26, a party on a bus led to an outbreak of the viral respiratory illness. There were no new fatalities, however, fatalities from the virus stand at 7. Two French soldiers have been killed after their vehicle hit an improvised explosive device in northeastern Mali. The 2 soldiers' car was hit by the explosive during an intelligence mission. Both of them were members of a regiment specializing in intelligence work in Mali. Another French soldier accompanying them suffered sustained injuries. At least 50 French soldiers have been killed in Mali since France intervened in 2013 to help the country fight jihadist militants.
spécialisés, dont j'ai tendance à dire qu'on travaille dans la profondeur de l'ennemi. C'est une de nos facettes. Le deuxième métier qu'on a, c'est celui de travailler au sein de la population pour en obtenir le maximum d'informations. Donc dans les deux, nous avions un observateur longue formation, près de 11 mois, pour lequel il faut être spécialiste de la photo discrète à longue distance ou à très courte distance. C'était sa spécialité, il le faisait très bien, il était même reconnu pour ce talent-là.
In the Central African Republic, rebel fighters allied with former President François Bozizé have captured the southern city of Bangassou, days after they were accused of an attempted coup and ahead of the release of results from a tense presidential election. A statement by the UN peacekeeping mission said the rebels are in control of the town and that government soldiers have abandoned their positions and fled from their base in the town. Since December 19, a coalition of rebel groups, which control 2/3 of the country, have been waging an offensive initially aimed at disrupting elections that were nonetheless held on December 27. At least 79 civilians were killed in simultaneous attacks on 2 villages by suspected Islamist militants in Niger, near the border zone with Mali. According to security sources, 49 people were killed and 17 wounded in the first village, while 30 villages were killed in neighboring village. No group has claimed responsibility so far. Niger has previously suffered attacks by Islamist militants linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. Attacks were near the western border with Mali and Burkina Faso and the southeastern border with Nigeria killed hundreds of people last year. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. A Spanish-flagged humanitarian ship has been seeking a port of safety for 265 migrants its crew rescued from the Mediterranean Sea in the last few days. The Open Arms charity SIAD said its vessel on Saturday had safely brought abroad 96 migrants who had been adrift in a wooden boat without life vests in international waters. It said the passengers, most of them from Eritrea, included 2 women and 17 minors and were suffering from hypothermia. In a separate operation on Thursday, Open Arms also took aboard 169 migrants who had departed Libyan shores. In the United States, a plane flying from Georgia crashed into a house in Michigan on Saturday, killing the pilot and 2 people on board. 5 individuals inside the 2-story house were able to escape injury. However, 5 severely damaged the home. The plane had been flying to the New Hudson Airport from the Cherokee County Regional Airport. Authorities have launched an investigation into the incident. In France, hundreds of people have taken to the streets of Paris to pay tribute to Cédric Chouviat, a delivery driver who died at the hands of police last year. On January 3, 2020, Chouviat was pinned to the ground while wearing his motorbike helmet during a police stop and search. He fainted and was taken to the hospital in a critical condition. He died 2 days later. This march also comes as lawmakers have begun debating a bill that could ban the dissemination of images of police officers, that faces which critics say will hinder attempts to hold lawmen accountable. France's security forces have long faced accusations of brutality against black people, Arab minorities, and protesters.
Nothing was done after the Interior Ministry made announcements. The Interior Ministry had announced that the stranglehold would be suspended, and in fact, it continues, even though there is an administrative report that says it must be stopped because it can kill at any time, at any moment. Tomorrow, for that matter, a police officer could kill someone, like Cédric Chouviat, because of this stranglehold. The Interior Ministry has had access to all the elements of the investigation, and they now know that police officers made errors that contributed to the death of Cédric Chouviat, and yet the officers are not suspended. So indeed, the family feels that things are not evolving as they would like, at least at the administrative level. At the judicial level, they are satisfied that the investigation that is proceeding properly, by particularly conscientious judges.
And India has authorized the emergency use of 2 coronavirus vaccines developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University and by local pharmaceutical firm Bharat Biotech.
adequate examination, the CDSCO has decided to accept the recommendations of the expert committee, and accordingly vaccines of Messrs. Serum and Bharat Biotech are being approved for restricted use in emergency situation, and permission is being granted to Messrs. Cadila Healthcare for conduct of phase 3 clinical trial in India.
Thousands of people have rallied in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, in support of Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Oli. The rally comes in response to several anti-government protests after Nepal's parliament was dissolved on December 20 on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, and fresh elections were called for April and May 2021. Several petitions have also been filed in the Supreme Court against the Prime Minister's action. The opposition has also accused Oli's government of corruption, and his administration has faced criticism over his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. 11 Hazara Shia Muslim coal miners have been killed in the southwestern Balochistan province in Pakistan. Gunmen reportedly abducted the coal miners, took them by nearby mountains, and opened fire on them, killing 6 of the spot. The other 5 who were critically wounded died on the way to the hospital. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. However, after news of the incident spread, members of the community took to the streets to protest.
पहुंचे 11 लोग के जिनको ज़िबा किया गया है, और वहाँ सारे मजदूर थे जो मजदूरी के लिए वहाँ भी जाते हैं, कोयला के काम में काम करते हैं। तरफ से जो आवाम मजबूर है आए दिन ये कत्ल आम के खिलाफ, यहाँ पे इन्होंने रोड ब्लॉक किया हुआ है, वहाँ पे एहतजाज।
And this Monday, District Judge Vanessa Breitzer ruled that Julian Assange is not to be extradited to the U.S. to face charges of espionage and of hacking government computers. Edward Snowden reacted to Assange's ruling on his Twitter account, saying, "Thank you to everyone who campaigned against one of the most dangerous threats to press freedom in decades." Former President of Ecuador, Rafael Correa, said that it was great news for the world and sent his congratulations to Julian, but also to his extraordinary team of attorneys. Julian Grunwald tweeted the rejection by the UK court of the US government's request to extradite Julian Assange to stand trial on espionage charges is obviously great news. But the judge endorsed most of the USG's theories, but ultimately found the US prison system too inhumane to permit extradition. Also, in further emissions, we will amplify and give more details about this news, an important news for press freedom and also for the world who support Julian Assange. Many of political figures and also personalities gave their reactions to this news. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website and social media pages. For teleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.